So now I want to move on to thinking about your personal experiences from the year. So we're all sitting in our homes now. Well, I'm not sitting in John's home, but everyone else is in their home. And some of us have been back to our offices. Some of us haven't. We've had quite an extraordinary year, but I want us to think deeply and personally about our own sort of experiences in 2020 and just reflect on what you learned most about yourself this year in dealing with this environment. So how have you found it? Has it been difficult? Has it been easy? Is there something that's driven you or made you take up something new or different or try and challenge about yourself a little bit? So does anyone want to go first?
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Oh, right, everyone does. Brilliant. Go on, Carrie, you go first. You go first.
Okay, mine's obviously I only started my agency a year ago, so during this I've learned a lot, and especially about myself. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is everybody keeps asking me about, you know, when are you going back to the office and all that sort of stuff, and it's kind of related to that around building culture. I think onboarding, so we've gone, like I said, from like 10 staff to 52. Getting all those staff onboarded over Zoom and actually being part of this experience and the vision and the growth and all that is hard. And that culture is really hard to kind of drive and instill in people, you know, online and virtual. That's been the hardest thing. We had a moment, to be honest, where I think lockdown lifted and was a little bit more ease, and we said, come back to the office. Let's try and get everyone back on it, a bit more motivation. But I think what I've learned is that culture is more important than people think, not just for being creative, but just for overall, obviously, sanity and all that sort of stuff. But being together as a team on the same path, being bought in, and, you know, on that journey, because I think there's big changes that everybody's made, business, agency, no matter what, and being on that, you know, journey together is important. But I'm more in for kind of creating a space. So our office, we've shut it down, and we actually are turning the office less into kind of desk space, more into a community space. So now we have like people working from home like 3 days a week, or we will be anyway, the new year. And you can come in the office if you want. It's more of a social area for people to come to, but that's what keeps the culture alive. But I think that's been the biggest learning for me, is how important culture is during all this.
That's brilliant. Thank you, John. What about you?
I mean, what have I learned about myself? Like, fuck, I don't know. I weep a lot more than I expected to. Like,
do you cry more, John, or do you mean you're just weeping from
that weep in like weird levels? So I've had these little sort of outpourings of emotion that have taken place. I was watching It's a Wonderful Life the other day, which is just, I don't care what anyone says, it's the best Christmas movie on the planet.
Alex, my daughter thinks Scrooge. Genuinely, she's 14. Scrooge is her favourite Christmas film. Loves it.
Scrooge, It's a Wonderful Life, and Die Hard.
Oh,
three best Christmas films.
This is wonderful. We don't have time for this.
So yeah, I don't know. I just started bursting into tears, and It's a Wonderful Life. It's just all about friends. It's just all about friends. I always considered myself a relatively grumpy little fucker. I didn't realise how much people genuinely meant to me, like in that way, you know, like interaction in that way. And so I think that was one. I think the other area that Carrie was raising is so right. You know, onboarding people into a fairly new agency, which, you know, we are a very much like a culture-driven organism. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like that. I spend way too much time thinking about our culture and our brand and what it stands for and who we are and all this type of shit. And that is tremendously difficult when you can't actually be in people's face about it. So having that kind of in place was important. I think the other thing was around like a shitload of self-care, man. I mean, like, I've spent a good fair number of my years battering myself, abusing myself, and just realizing actually, if you are completely stationary for most of the day, sat in a chair, not leaving even a room for 8 hours, you're just like zoned out in work, which happened a lot, like hypnotized by work. That actually there needs to be a bit of a kind of breakout moment, and a little bit of self-attention is deeply important.
I think that's so important. I mean, all of your episodes have been fantastic, and they've all proved really popular, but they've all been wiped the floor with by our Fuck Fine mental health episode. Like, it's extraordinary. It clearly is something that's resonating across the sector. So that's great. What about you, Rebecca?
I would have guessed that I would have hated working from home, and I actually don't. So that was kind of an important learning. The first kind of month was really brutal, because not seeing another, I live alone, not seeing another human being was really quite hard. But then I kind of found my way with it, and actually don't want to go back to the office. Because I've discovered that I always knew that I work best in the evenings. So kind of 5 to 7 p.m. is kind of my hot zone. And I can do that comfortably. I can sleep in a little bit. I can take a walk at lunch. I can adapt my work schedule to suit when I'm productive and to turn it off when I'm not, which is actually really nice. And also, people don't interrupt me. We have an open plan office. It's a pain in the ass. This is great. I can ignore people when they call me. I can pretend like I'm not there. It's really nice. Also, like, asynchronous communication is a beautiful thing. Like, we use Teams chat, and it means that people can say what they need to say when they need to say it, and you can answer it when you need to answer it, and you don't have to do those things instantaneously. That's really great. Otherwise, I think, like, I've been really reminded of my own, like, intensity and my own ability to manage stress, which I sort of already knew, having had some bad things happen in my life before. Like, I knew I was pretty resilient, but this period has kind of re-shown me that, and it's pushed me about as far as I've ever been pushed in my own stress levels, and being able to manage that on my own with no real support has been quite helpful, because it's shown me that I can. And then I think the last thing is it's given me the opportunity to be introspective about what it is in my job I actually like, because while it's been like an absolute deluge of work, I mean, it is, this year has been extraordinary on every level, because it's, I don't need to explain that. I think it's given me new stretch in my role, and new stretch within the business, and new stretch in the community, both communications community and outside in the wider, like, innovation is my space. And I've gotten to stretch into that space in a way that I never have before, because I have time and everything's virtual. So suddenly I can go and play in sandboxes I previously wasn't able to play in. And that's been amazing. And I don't want to lose that.
I love that. I love that analogy. I think that's brilliant. I think if an opportunity comes up at Rise at 7, it's probably not the office for you. That's what
Yeah, you're not forever in that Marmite.
I need a door. If you can give me a door, we'll be fine.
Rich, what about you?
I think it's really humbled me this year. I've been so head down thinking, growth and culture. I think if you look at the people on this chat, every single one of us has, a big, kind of a lot to say about culture and, the things we do to build our own teams. So I think, what it's done is it's made me take a step back as a leader almost, and think, how am I managing my team? We followed people, first time round. What am I doing to make sure they're okay? It's really kind of, showed me, no, that growth that you definitely never took it for advantage, but never took it for granted. But it's taken me aback and made me think, do you know that thing that you love and that you love building? Well, guess what? We're going to take a percentage off of that and try and grow it again, shall you? And it's just really, made me think maybe I'm not as bulletproof as I thought I was, and I've really needed to lean on both the team and and other people throughout. it's definitely not been easy. And it's great to see people recruiting again in the industry, and we've been lucky, I'm fortunate to be able to as well. But that doesn't just happen. You've got to be good at what you do. You've got to have that culture play. You've got to really care about the people you work with. And I always say, in my team, we don't just work with each other, we work for each other. And as corny as that might sound, I don't care, because if you don't have each other's backs, and it probably does come from that kind of team sports dynamic. If you don't have each other's backs, then you're only as strong as your weakest link. Yeah. And that for me is a big part. It's like you bring everybody with you. And I think outside of work, it has its impacts. I'm here. I've got 3 kids. I've got now a couple of businesses under the group that we're trying to build out, and it's made me think. To John's point, I don't look after myself. Yes, I train and things like that, but it doesn't change. That's not from a mental health perspective. So, I've been silly things like cooking more, isn't it? And actually, taking a step back and going, right, kids, I'm putting the laptop down, and we're going to watch a film, and we're going to cook, we're going to chill out. I've taken up various different things and really tried to, it's a funny one. All being agency founders and obviously working, senior in your brand, you almost think that any time that you spend not working is time where you probably should be. And it's almost this year's kind of given me the opportunity to take a step back and go, I've got a piano there. Why am I not doing more with it? Even if it's just 20 minutes, it's not actually a slight on, me and the agency if I care a tiny bit more about the things that I do that aren't just business orientated. So that's a long-winded way of saying, fucking hell, this year was stressful, but I think we're doing all right.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Oh, I was going to say, if anyone wants food-based content, follow Rebecca on social. That's where.
Absolutely, God, yeah. And Alex, finally to you as well.
I mean, how do I follow that, Rich? I mean, you should write a book, mate. Have you ever thought about that? I think honestly, it's hard to not sort of build on what everyone said, because it feels like such a collective narrative around what's happened. I think there's been this shift around looking at productivity as your output as an individual to looking at legacy as your output. And I don't mean that in some kind of grand way either, but like, what did I achieve today feels much more in focus than previously. And I think I've absolutely missed that. I think Carrie, like listening to you talk about the office, like we have a thing called not desking. Like no one has a desk anymore. It's Rebecca's nightmare, I imagine. Like, but it is a social space, and the idea that the office is a place to go to work, like the concept of going to work has changed, and the idea that I do work where it suits me is a very different concept. And I think therefore, like, time management has become mind management. Like there's no longer 9 to 5. It's like, when do I do that kind of work best? And when do I do that kind of work best? And I think I've been spread across all kinds of different time zones, more than usual even. But it's been really fun to embrace just like, okay, well, when am I good at that? And just actually saying it's 11 o'clock, I'm going to go like for a walk. Like, which I couldn't do if I was in the office, because I'm present as the founder. And it's like, well, if I just go for a walk, like, what will everyone think? And, and it's not because I think everyone else is going to fuck off for a walk. They're welcome to. It's because I think everyone will think, what the fuck is he doing? He does no work anyway. And then he's going for a walk. But I think there's also a privilege about this situation where I've like watched 2020 happen like it's on TV. Yeah. And the thing that I would say I've got the most out of this year is pride. Like, I'm so lucky, and I've got Siri talking to me. I don't know if you can hear that, but like the thing that I've got most from this year is pride, in the sense of being able to watch these windows of people. Can you hear me properly?
Yeah,
sorry, I can't hear you anymore. So anyway, watch these windows of people just evolve and develop over time, right? Over the course of the year, it's been like watching the world's greatest soap opera, right? Like Ali Maynard James, she's our managing partner in London, and she's pregnant, and she's one of my greatest friends on earth. I've worked with her for like 8 years. She's like my work wife, right? And I've just watched her tummy grow. Do you know what I mean? Like on a screen, and it's been beautiful. And like we've been in like because of that. And
oh no, I think we've lost out.
What rubbish time to lose it.
Yeah.
Diversity and inclusion man in our industry, and I couldn't be prouder. And people have been able to like stamp their own like position in the business and in life, and it's just been great to watch it and be like a passenger rather than necessarily some kind of like participant. It's been fascinating and interesting. I don't know if my internet's gone, but you guys have all disappeared.
We Alex for a few seconds, but you're back.
Yeah, we lost you for 30 seconds, which is great, because now it means we all need to listen when it comes out so we can hear what you said, because it'll all update. It'll be great, but we can hear you. Can you hear us?
He can't hear us.
Oh,
we can hear you. We'll see if Alex jumps out and joins back in again. So I wanted to...
Well, now seems like a good moment to talk about him. I don't know about you, but I thought he behaved cool in this podcast. Nothing interesting to say.
He has no idea.
Actually, I think
There he is. He's back in the room.
I think that's wonderful. We are all at a certain stage of our careers. We're all at different levels of seniority and experience. If we think about people who aren't in our position, who are slightly younger, slightly fresher, and
less cynical
at the start of their careers, what do you think they need to do to make sure they are future-proofing themselves? So we had an episode right at the beginning of the season with some 30 under 30s, and we were really inspired by how they wanted to grow and develop and own this industry and be a really positive force for change. And it was quite a scary episode, really, wasn't it?
Oh my god, yeah.
They were
really good.
Yeah, they're really good. But if you're not that good, or if you're keen to think about development, what advice do you have for younger practitioners at the moment who might be struggling with, worrying about keeping their job or worrying about finding a job? What skills they need? What do they need to do? What do they need to develop? What would make them employable to you, John Brown?
I was just thinking to myself then, like, how would you future-proof them? I'd be like, oh, fucking hell, go and do a business analyst course. Like, I don't know, go and become a data scientist or a software developer or someone that can solve, carbon capture. I don't know, go and do that. Fucking don't come in here. And then what other advice should I give them? I thought I could just be a real arsehole. Get out of my fucking way, you young bastard. So a lot of stuff went through my mind then, right? But I've got to be honest, like especially we're just going through right now actually a recruitment process where we're handling like bring people on who this will be their first job, and I think for a lot of the time, skills, yes, fine, important to a certain extent, but to be honest with you, can be taught. Most of the time we find ourselves reteaching the skills which they thought that they learned at a course or something else. Staying relevant and current and understanding, and to Rebecca's point, understanding a business as well as understanding the economy and the wider world, and having some focus and passion and real drive around that is the secret sauce that we look for, because that then is like the flare that we can use, the fire that we can keep stoking, that will have and out of that will emerge creative ideas, will emerge some extraordinary writing. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be a good reader as well as a good writer. A good reader will make you a good writer. So read. But it's that passion point that we look for, and it's that kind of curiosity in an organization, in the wider world, in a political matter, in how consumers buy something, how people behave in a certain way. And that doesn't have to be taught. That's just passion that you can kind of learn yourself. If you've got that, we can add in, SEO and Google Analytics and creative writing and, how to run a Twitter campaign on top of it. But that core is what I'd say we look for.
That's great. That's really helpful. Thank you for answering in such a passionate way. I love that.
Great.
I back well, John. I love that. I think for me as well. So that sort of curiosity to learn new things. I love, to be honest, these kids that are just learning things in their bedrooms. I even spoke to someone the other day. We're doing this like offer with the University of Sheffield where you come work with us for 2 years and you also get paid to do a master's in like data science and stuff like that. And the uni, like we basically, I don't even know, I think the business, us as an agency, pays like £500 towards it. And so not much at all. And then the uni just cover it. So it's like this whole scheme to basically get people trialing new things. And yeah, I was speaking to this one girl in particular, and she's one of the biggest coders I've ever seen, and she was only like 19, and I was like, where did you learn that? She's like, my bedroom. And I love it. I love not just coders, but TikTokers or YouTubers or gamers, like absolutely anything that they're just kind of being real curious about new technologies, new trends, because these 18, 19-year-old kids are coming in and teaching us stuff. And that's what I love. I love like the likes of, there was Mark Rove who I hired, and he's always just been a guy that he's owned about 100 affiliate sites. But that man just taught it all in his bedroom since he was 16. But that's the sort of thing that I love, is those curious people that sit on Twitter threads, Reddit, they're learning and reading, and then they're engaging through different communities. But yeah, get involved and learn things that you can do in your bedroom even.
Are you finding there's a shortage of talent for your agency, Carrie, or not?
No, I wouldn't say so. I actually think there's more talent now.
You've got to bloody hire everyone, anyways. You just got to hire 2,000 people and after 4 weeks of working.
And this is very similar to what you said, John. You can't teach that passion and curiosity, but you can teach the SEO bits. To be honest, the bulk of our staff are interns. Like, and there was a girl 6 months ago pulling pints, and the other week she launched a campaign with Xbox and went viral. Like, we're teaching them fast, and I don't actually think you need to have done it before. I think people like ourselves, our agencies, we've got senior people in place to be able to train them, and actually all they need is lots of enthusiasm and curiosity to learn. So that's the sort of people we're hiring at the minute, people that literally have never done it before, but we can teach them. I always say, give me 2 weeks and you'll be the best. That's what I say to them. It gives them, maybe 3, but yeah, it's interesting.
Rebecca, is your answer gonna echo this idea of business insight and understanding?
Yeah, so I think the thing that people say about T-shaped people is a real thing. Be T-shaped. Do everything you can to be T-shaped. You could be the best expert on, you name the specific PR thing, and it counts for less if you don't have the breadth across the top. So I think that's really important, and that's across a whole business, not just across communications. And I think John's point about the world is kind of important. So like basic critical thinking skills, learn how to be a network thinker rather than a linear thinker. These are things that you can teach yourself. Now, I think a lot of people have it naturally, and a lot of people don't have it naturally. But, I have a science degree. I learned how to use the scientific method. It's a pretty good starting place, and it's pretty well tested. So just get familiar with, like, how do you form a hypothesis? How do you analyze data to determine whether you proved or didn't prove your hypothesis? I think that's really important. And then I think the last thing I would say coming into an in-house role is don't be precious. Like, we are pressing our teams as hard as they will ever be pressed, because the way resources moving between in-house, outsourced into agency partners, it's changing all the time. And if I need you to step up and do an event for me, then say yes. Just because it's not the thing you know how to do, like, don't even make a face that makes me think you don't want to do it. Take every open door, every opportunity, because, like I said, I have a science degree. I was not a communications person when I started. So you never know where you might end
Alex,
up.
what about you? Let's test. Can we hear you? I think you're muted. Have you got... Can we unmute?
Oh, go on.
Hang on.
No. I've switched to my my laptop now. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Am I echoey? Am I all right? Because I can hear you through. I can hear you through my earphones. See, my laptop's going to run out of battery in a second as well. It's like tech nightmare. I would agree with everything that everyone said. I think that it all boils down to that concept of curiosity. Like I always say, I'm not looking for people with the answers, but with the people who are asking the right questions. Yeah. But I think also this, there is definitely, I feel like something that an employer needs to provide is also a freedom to fail. I think you only learn through failure. And I think ego can stand in the way of that. If you consider, like, the difference between ego and confidence is someone who's confident knows what they're good at. Someone who's got an ego doesn't know what they're bad at, or they're scared of it. So they don't ever pursue it, right? And I think that you've got to try and be confident. And like Rebecca said, try everything with the confidence that if you fail, you will learn. But I think there's a responsibility, therefore, on the employer to create a culture that is fail-safe in a sort of weird double meaning. And I think, that is where I think there's probably been a letdown. A lot of people have said, oh, there's a lot of privileged kids at the moment, or kids who arrive and they do boring work. And it's like, that's just not true. Like Carrie was saying, if you provide the right culture, one of endeavor and invention and excitement, and give people the opportunity to show what they can do, then they will. So you just got to try and provide that. I think there's a responsibility there for businesses to do so, but show up with an ambition to try, not a belief that you will succeed, but like an ambition to try, and, drop that concept of success and instead look for some kind of significance, I guess. Because I think there's also a lot of, I should be earning this. I should be doing that by now. And it's like, it's pressure you're putting on yourself, and you can see why there's a mental health epidemic. There's all of this expectation on people. And there's this fear of failure, and you've got to try and be resilient to that, but also see failure as a step on the way. Every failure is effectively making you better, so try and do more of it.
Rich, we'll go to you, and then we'll do a quick fire final question just to wrap things up. So, Rich, over to you.
That's genuinely hard to follow, isn't it? All of you. Like, because you've all said things that I've either said over the years, or possibly even said when we were talking last, guys.
Like anything, Rich, we'll cut it first.
Yeah. Cut me first. Alex has gone again. Alex said, "Fuck you," and he said, "Shut up, Rich." No, I think it's all I can ever ask for of my team is, one, that they put their hand up. To Rebecca's point, two, that they're not scared to fail, to Alex's point, that they will always try something new, and come to me with things. I don't know everything at all. I don't, I barely know what I make things up as I go along. And I think that's what I encourage the team to do as well. Make things up as you go along. Like when I first started at Tenietes all those years ago, I remember Second Life was a thing. That fucking ages me. But Second Life was a thing at that point in time. And we were the first agency in Second Life to have a Second Life presence. Now, that's because I've been there a couple of weeks and I was thinking, I want to try and do something different that sets us out. I was the first employee and trying to impress and all that. And Andy kind of looked at it and was like, why are you wasting your time doing that? I'm paying you money. And that's a good point. But, also just and it didn't do anything, didn't bring us a single bit of work. But, I'd learned something. I'd learned how to use a platform. I'd learned, kind of how to get ourselves out there. And, I had a team member that, they knew Twitch inside out. So, I moved them into a position where, for a client, we were able then to have them use Twitch for that client, as a broadcaster, to fantastic, kind of fantastic success. And that's because, they're coming to me and showing me things that I don't know. And it's, something for me that's important is that my team look at me and don't think that I know everything, because I do not, and I know that they can fail, but I can too. And that is, again, it comes back to we work for each other, not with each other. There's not a culture of blame. There's not a culture of claim. There's not this, if somebody fucks up, they know they have. They don't need to be told they have. So what do? You band around them and you help them get better. So what that doesn't do is answer your question as to young people now hoping to potentially enter the industry. And I just think, my answer is what it was before, is there are so many people out there giving their thoughts, insights, wisdom for nothing. Don't count myself necessarily in this, but look at you guys around this chat. Follow you people. Listen to what you say, because you cannot go far wrong. If you are curious, if you do put your hand up and you do, kind of surround yourself with the right people, you are the sum of the people you spend the most time with and spend the most time kind of aspiring to, then you cannot go wrong. But to go wrong is to come in and just think that it's owed to you. It is not.
That's great answer. So as we're recording this, we are fortnight, in fact, to the big day itself. We'll be taking a break with the podcast until early next year. What are your respective resolutions for 2021? And we'll do the final question as we started the chat and go around the room as we see you on our screen here. So, Carrie, what's your resolution for 2021?
Oh God, is this personally or business life? I want 2 stone. That's New Year's. New Year's resolution. Do you know what? It's really interesting. When you was all talking, then quite a lot of you mentioned about self-care. I don't think I've taken enough care of myself, if I'm completely honest. This last year has been manic, and whenever people say to me, how's things? Every single time I use the word manic, and I haven't taken care of myself, and I think for 2021 I need to. And I started that by today booking a holiday to Aruba. I'm going in 10 days.
Amazing. I'm very jealous.
But I do think, taking care of myself and even my body, my skin, like even those sort of things, I'd let go. And all I do is very much what John said. I've spent all day in my bedroom today working with my laptop. That's all I do. So I think, 2021 is about me and thinking about myself.
That's great. John?
I'm gonna go and buy an Airbnb. And I'm gonna put a fucking tree, isn't it? Back of it.
Fuck off, John.
And then I'm gonna go and climb the staircase out of an oak tree, with my bare hands. Not even with my bare hands. I'm just gonna bite through it until it's a staircase.
I'm trying to plug in my laptop furiously whilst being insulted about my Christmas tree.
Well, Alex, plugging in his laptop. Rebecca, your resolution for 21.
So I don't actually make resolutions, so this is really hard because I'm not really a resolution person. I need to continue being better at letting go. Work shouldn't have 100% of me as a human being, and it shouldn't have 100% of my care and passion, or maybe it should have 100% instead of 120%. I just need to care a little bit less, which is kind of a weird thing to say out loud. But like one of the things I did a couple months ago was switch off email notifications. Because what the fuck do I need them for? I'm on my laptop when I'm working. I get the emails right there. Why do I need the hassle when I'm not working? And if somebody needs me desperately, they ring me because they need me desperately. So I think I need to be better at, I've always been good at switching off, but I need to be better at not caring that I've switched off, and maybe even be a little bit selfish about switching off. I've started, but it's not natural at all. So I think that if I had to pick something on the fly,
what about
that's
you,
what I'd
Rich?
pick.
It's, again, I'm not much of a resolutions type
Look,
person.
Richard, I hate to tell you, you're not going to make it into the England first 15. All right, that's not a resolution. Okay,
listen. Our back row is terrible right now. So,
Rich is going to write a book. Rich is going to write a book.
I'll write a book about this.
He's going to send me a book to put on the shelf.
But no, I think I don't know if it is just because it's the question you just dropped on us. You didn't prep us with this question. Jesus. But no, I think it is echoing what the other guys have said, and I'm not the most kind to myself. At any point, and both professionally and personally. So I think sometimes it is just giving yourself a bit of a break, and Harrod, one of my team members, reminds me that she's the person that told me that comparison is a thief of joy. And I think, sometimes we get ourselves caught up in this notion of comparison with everybody. And I think, as an industry, we know it sells to talk loudly about what we do. And sometimes you need to take a step back. I've said that about 5 times this chat. So please edit some of those out, guys, please. Just being a bit kinder to yourself and thinking, okay, well, my situation is this. It's not the same as that. It's not the same as that. Just recognizing that, my business is the majority of. You shouldn't judge your what's the word? You shouldn't judge your kind of usefulness as a person by how well you run a business. But it's bloody easy to when you can see the finances, you can see how it stacks up, you can see the more effort I put in, the more happens. But so you kind of get used to when somebody asks you, to Carrie's point, somebody says, "Oh, how you doing?" You go, "Yeah, business is good." It's like, no, I didn't ask that. Like, Richard, how are you? It's like, I think I'm all right. I think, yeah, kids are great. But so it's almost just it won't work as a resolution, but it's just realizing that you are more than the sum of the business that you run.
Yeah. So Alex, we got 4 self-cares, I think, there. So are you going to say self-care as well?
Oh shit, I had self-care on the bingo card as well.
No.
I can say something else. You know what? I think it all connects. I think it's remembering to have fun.
Yes.
And I think something that I've remembered a lot this year, I think this is the 11th year of Manifest existing, and we've had a shit ton of fun in the time. But I think a lot of the time people say "Oh, why did you do that?" Or what was the strategic decision behind this? And better business people will have had reason for that. But the majority of reason why we do most of the things is because we think it might be a bit of fun. And at the end of the day, considering work and life as 2 separate things, work-life balance, that's the big fuck up. It's work-life blend, right? What are you doing at work that is enriching your life, and what are you doing in life that's enriching your work? And all you've got at the end of the day is you. And if you didn't have fun, what the fuck were you doing in the first place? And I think, yes, of course, there's all this idea of, okay, well, you can go to bed at night worrying about the people whose jobs are reliant on you, X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, they've got the job because you were there just having fun, doing things that you felt were the right thing. And I think often what we try and do is undermine our intuition with our intelligence. And consistently we ask ourselves, why do we think this is the right thing to do? So we consider it let's wait and see is the worst decision anyone's ever made. Let's wait and see if I should have made that decision 3 months ago. It's fucking nonsense, but we do it, right? Behaviorally, we pursue the rational ahead of the fun. And gut instinct is big data for the little guy. It's your body telling you should do it before any form of rational argument can be developed, and just pursue that a bit more. Intuition is effectively why we're all here in the first place, right? It's why the human race is the dominant species on the planet, is we have it. So why not follow that a bit more and just go, okay, my intuition's saying this, and instead of saying, but I need to rationalize it, just go, well, if I can't rationalize not to, fuck it, let's give it a go. And I think, have fun. Continue having fun, because we all realize in 2020, a lot of the fun can be stripped out of life without you having the choice about it. So at least where you've got the choice, enjoy it, because failure can be just as fun as success.
I've always said it's ridiculous that I make a living doing the things that we do. And I love the fact that I can make a living doing the things we do. And I think sometimes it's hard to forget not to take yourself, it's hard to forget that, you shouldn't take yourself quite so seriously. So yeah, I like that.
Totally, you can take your job seriously without taking yourself seriously, and that's the bit I think people forget about. And that's certainly something that I think I maybe in times of running a business have lost touch with a little bit. And I've woken up and gone, oh, I've got this meeting. And it's how many people, I think there's, I can't remember who said it. Too many fucking books and not a good enough memory, and too many old fashions. But I think that that idea that that fun is somehow contrary to common sense when it is nonsense. At the end of the day, pursue what you want to be doing because that's what you're good at, And I think we question ourselves too much. We wake up. I mean, how many people in the world get to say coming up with ideas is their job? And whether you're a CEO or whether you're a CMO or whether you're in a account exec, like if you consider your job as coming up with ideas, which is effectively what it is. Ideas are the new economy, right? It's the new industrial revolution at the end of the day. Like everyone's buying a story about a number, not a number. To again lean into the behavioral economics side of things. We're writing the stories. We're the creators now, and just have fun with it. Remember, like wake up in the morning and just go, your job is coming up with ideas, so you better enjoy it or they'll be shit. That's my resolution for 2021.
A massive thank you to our guests. What a wonderful roundtable. I'm really glad that we ended the season on that. That was a real high for us, and I hope you enjoyed learning more from our wonderful guests.
It felt like a good old Christmas special, like a TV holiday special. I loved it.
It beats a work Zoom party.
Oh my God, doesn't it just? Listen, thank you so much for joining us throughout the last 16, 17 weeks. 34 weeks. Oh my God, I know my
34 weeks, 16
weeks.
Episodes.
Oh my God, it's just mental, isn't it? Anyway, listen, thank you very much for listening to this season of the PR Hub podcast. We will be back with Series 3 in early 2021. In the meantime, if you want to chat with us, we are at PR Hub on Twitter. Adam is at Adam Tuckwell. I'm at John Wilcox _. And you can also email us also at the PR Hub podcast @gmail.com. But until then, well,
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Hey.